a personal friend of Hanok's, but also a client of DADA Taxes. I am super excited to hear from our speakers today. As I said earlier, we are all here to learn. The most value that we have is to continue to grow our business, to continue to increase our knowledge, right? And to continue to network with one another. I know we're all really shy and been at our tables, but I did want to just, encourage us to say hello to your neighbors, say hello to the table next to you, and, most importantly, definitely get to know our speakers today. We will kick it off with Hanok Goitom, obviously, as our chair and leader, and then the entire DADA Tax team. We have incredible speakers. Please feel free to take notes. Please feel free to ask questions. We will have Q&A session later on as well. But to kick it off, please give it up for Hanok and the entire DADA staff team.
First of all, I would like to thank Almighty God in the name of the Lord Jesus Christ for keeping me, my family, and every one of us during the pandemic times, especially my mother who came out of surgery last year. I'm grateful for that. In last year's event, we had so many restrictions. This year, we're trying to get a little loose in our restrictions, and we are all grateful for that as well. When the pandemic hit, it didn't take a while to cripple the American economy, and the White House and the Congress have responded by passing a series of legislations to support Americans in business. Despite the development of the sophisticated systems in implementing these programs, many beneficiaries struggled to be seizing the opportunities that was given by the government. Hence, the role of the accountants and tax professionals was so crucial. Here in DADA Tax Service, although our primary service was tax and accounting, we had to step up to provide support to our customers with those programs. Our supports included producing YouTube videos to explain in different language, filling unemployment claims, and also applications with the popular SBA loans and grants. As the chief economist, Dr. Charles Hadri, said, small business drives the American economy. And we, DADA Tax, are part of the small business driving the economy in the United States. And that's the reason billions of funds were provided to the Small Business Administration to support this program. And today's one of the major topics of today's is going to be these Small Business Administration topics. On personal perspectives, after I received my accounting certification in England, I had a chance to work in different sectors and was fortunate enough to be surrounded by experienced supervisors and colleagues. My father always says, experience is a key factor in any application or in any professional process. And what I have learned and the years of experience I have gained has helped me and my office to deliver quality service to the greatest satisfaction of our customers, and we will strive to keep on improving. Finally, I would like to take this opportunity to thank my family for everything they have done for me, and also the wonderful speakers who are here with us today, Dayo and Randy, and my decorator, Delina Decor, my sister-in-law, for the beautiful decoration that you can see behind me. And also my editors, Luan from Dallas and Lydia from Florida, for helping me in setting up all the presentations for today. I also would like to say thank you to my sponsor, Abraham, Abdulis Express, and he was very generous to support us to fund at least half of the cost of this event today. Last but not least, I would like to say thank you to all customers and to everyone attending. I will pass on now to the next speaker, but before that, let me please introduce you my team members. First one is Dia, she's an accountant. She specializes in the DMV about sales taxes and small business accounting. And Catherine, she's bilingual. She's going to help us. She joined us this year, and she's going to help us with the Spanish committee. and I'm very grateful to have them with me as a team. Thank you so much for coming. I'll pass it now to the first speaker, and I'll proceed directly to my presentation. Thank you.
I'm the first speaker. Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Hi, Enoch. Thank you so much for this opportunity to be on this platform and to be here today. I guess we're all here because we want to learn more about tax laws and how it can benefit us and how we can move forward with our businesses. My name is DADA Tax. I am from Nigeria. I'm 30 years old, and I'm the founder of a media startup called Time TV. My dream is to own a TV network in America. And basically, the idea of this TV network is a platform for the African diaspora, the multicultural communities in the US, and covering the immigrant communities as well. So I want to share with you a bit about my journey as an entrepreneur from an immigrant perspective. Funny enough, coming up here, I met a cool guy, Alex, right there on the elevator. And we got talking very briefly. And I said, where are you from? What's your name? And how long have you been in this country? And he says, it's been here 5 years. He runs a trucking company. He's hired a new driver, and he owns 2 trucks, and he's hired a new driver, and the business is doing well. And like Enoch pointed out, with the pandemic, everyone is looking for loans, and so he's here to learn about loans and how you can secure that. And I bring him up to talk about the immigrant experience. He's only been here 5 years, and he's a business owner. For me, I came to the United States at the age of 15. So I'm going to share with you a bit of how I got my American visa, because that story is kind of interesting. I was 15 years old, finished high school quite young, and then I completed my SATs, my TOEFL, all the requirements to come to this country. I go to the embassy, and I was denied my visa, so I got upset. And my mom was with me, because, I was a minor. And I was like, why am I not getting this visa? What's going on? I got upset. I left my passport at the embassy in Nigeria. And my mom was like, no, we can go to Ghana. We can, of course, the parents, like African parents, you have to be a doctor or a lawyer and stuff like that. So it's like, Ghana has a lot of good schools, so you can be a doctor in Ghana. I was like, no, America. I must come to America. For some reason, that American dream was right there in my face. And I left my passport at the embassy, and that kind of move, you just forget your passport. But luckily, after emails upon emails, the head of the immigrant department reached out back to my mom and said, you guys can come pick up your visa, and as a matter of fact, bring your daughter along. So they gave me some sort of VIP treatment, never heard before, it's so rare to get that kind of opportunity. And then I got my student visa, came to the US in Oklahoma, to study in Oklahoma. And so that persistence is why I'm here today, because if I had said no, I wouldn't be here talking to you today. And from that one, yes, my sister has come here, my brother has come here, and when you're an immigrant and you're looking for better opportunities, you get the opportunity that if one of you is here, you're supporting somebody back home, you're paving the way for another person. So persistence is something I want to talk about as an entrepreneur, because when you're persistent, that trait in you will keep you going when things get hard. And so for me, coming here, going to school, completing education, I started learning some things about my identity in the US. It's very different from what I would have been, or the identity I would have carried if I remained in Nigeria. Because now I'm in another country and I'm identified as an immigrant. What does that even mean? So I started hearing words as I've been here. Now 15 years later, I'm here. And I'm hearing more words like diaspora, immigration issues, systemic racism, the black struggle. When you grow up in Nigeria or some parts of the continent, everyone is black, so there's nothing like racism. And I didn't understand that until I came here. Now I'm having to form this new identity and figure out who I am as a black woman, which I never thought I was a black woman. I just thought I was a woman. But now I'm here and I'm having to see myself in a different lens as a black woman, as not just a black woman, but now as an African black woman, and then a young woman, a youth in that sense. And there's a way that now I'm having to move forward. So let's go back to persistence. It's a trait. It's a trait that every entrepreneur would have and needs to have to move forward. Getting educated in my identity now grounds me, and I go, I'm talking about being a black woman and all that, but really it grounds me to know how to navigate the system in America and to really understand how I can achieve success, because that is why I came here, against all odds, because I want to be successful and I want to create a better life for my family, and I want to pave the way for the next generation so that they'll find it easier. So I'm going to talk about number 2. So take notes. Number 1 was persistence, right? So number 2 is betting on yourself. Now in my journey, I studied psychology in school, minored in chemistry, and worked in mental health for like 5-6 years, and decided I don't really think this is my calling, and started writing about something called the art of being alive. In that process of writing about this topic of finding meaningfulness in life, Ariana Huffington, the founder of co-founder of Huffington Post, saw my article, and she reached out to me and said, one of my editors can connect you and you can become a contributor for HuffPost. And so that's how my journey in journalism started, and I started writing as a as a contributor for HuffPost as a journalist. And so in that process, all of it, I got opportunities that just came one after the other. But there was something in that, which is, you always have this fear of stepping into the unknown, because this is not what I studied. I didn't study psychology. I didn't study journalism in school. I studied psychology. But all is to say that at some point as an entrepreneur, you get to bet on yourself. And you get to trust the process. And beyond that, you need to have faith over fear. And as I've gone through this journey, I think having faith in each step has helped me so much to know that even when the fear comes, because being an entrepreneur, being an immigrant, and facing the challenges we face, you're going to feel fear along the way. But you cannot let that fear stop you. You have to know that even when the fear comes, your faith is more powerful and you can overcome. And so the third part I will touch on, which is my last point for tonight, is business on the go. Getting your MBA on the go, right? Because now you're in this journey, and some of us have some MBA, some of us don't. But somehow, when you're an entrepreneur, you don't just... most entrepreneurs I talk to say entrepreneurship found them. They didn't go searching for it. It just came. Because one of the things you do as an entrepreneur is you try to solve a problem. You're not there, you see a problem, and you feel something in you that wants you to solve that problem. And so, being in that path, you get your MBA along the way from the experience of just failing and starting again and trying again and navigating. So in the way, you're processing this. And so now, what I'm going to say will lead us to why we're here today, because now we're getting our MBA and we're in class. So now we're here to learn about tax laws, and we're here to learn about how to get that money. Because trust me, my process has led me to the point where when I first started, from HuffPost to writing for Forbes, covering Obama's White House, working for the World Organization SCAP movement, covering their conference, and all these good things that's happened. Now I'm not identifying with any of those big platforms, and you find that people sometimes move back, right? Well, we don't see her on HuffPost anymore. When people reach out to me to pitch a story, they want to know, where is the article going to go? Is it going to go on Forbes? Because yes, I'm your friend. But when I say Tan TV, they're like, well, your platform isn't big enough for me, so I'll pass. Or you have to pay me for me to write for your platform. So those are the challenges I'm facing right now. It's difficult to get people to say yes, or to say, oh, we can do this for you. And they're like, well, why market me when I have more followers than you, you know? So those challenges come in. But at the same time, I'm learning that there's a way where you look around you. I remember, like, I am here for a purpose, and that purpose is that dream in me that I want to be great. I want to be somebody. And so the good thing about America is a land of opportunities. If someone tells you no, you're going to get a yes from the next person. And so here I am. I applied to the PG County Economic Development Center. They have something called Innovation Station. And I got accepted into Innovation Station. So now my company is seen not just as a media company, but as a tech startup. And I'm like, oh, so now I'm a tech founder? Something like that, right? And it's interesting because we have an office in the Business Incubator program. And that is all about using your resources around you. Community resources are available. And so the good thing is, the way to start a business in America, the obstacles it involves and all that is not as much as in some other places. So you can easily navigate your way if you really want to do this. So I'm going to wrap up with this and just say that with business, you have to understand that finding community resources is going to help you, and you have to be open to learning. So which is why this platform that Enoch has created for us today is truly a great blessing, because right now I'm looking for the money. As many of us are here to look for that money. We want to know where the money is, because COVID-19 happened, and some people found enough money to go to space. I didn't. I wanted to go. So, but I'm still trying to find money to fund my startup and, you know, build it to where we can have more of a community, where we can tell our stories, because representation matters. And with my platform, that's what I've tried to do, is one story at a time, putting faces like you and I on that platform and telling our stories, one diaspora story at a time. And so to wrap up, I would say to Enoch, show us the money. Thank you.
Thank you, Daya, for the motivational speak. I appreciate it. And with Daya, we met when she was White House journalist like 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Now here you are owning your own studio. And you're going to tell us a little bit about your studio later on. Okay. Thank you. Can you hear me? Switching the microphone. I get used to the handheld microphone, so it's a little weird to use this one. All right, so jumping now to the main topic of today, which is small business administration, funds provided by the SBA, and to start out. Right. Just like I said in my introductory speech, when COVID hit, the government tried to respond to support American businesses and individuals, and the major legislation that was passed at that time was to give these 3 programs, and these were to address the ordinary and necessary expenses that the businesses have been struggling to cope up, and the government has made a very swift move, and these are still in use. The applications are still good, just like what they was saying. If you haven't already applied yet, then it's still good that you can apply and get a purchase of this. So the first one is the aid loan. This is a very low interest compared to the commercial interest that we see or encounter in other banks like Wells Fargo, Bank of America, things like that. And it's 3.75% for private and 2.75% for non-profit organizations. And the term is 30 years, and the maximum loan that you can get with this is up to 10 million. So if you are a contractor or a self-employed, the maximum you can get is twice of your 2019 tax return gross income that you have reported. To be eligible for this loan, you have to be a resident of the United States. You don't have to be a citizen, or at least you have to be a qualified resident of the United States. And if you are a partner or a shareholder in any bigger partnership or in any corporation, then at least the ones who are owning 20% or more should be qualified residents of the States. In order to be eligible, another criteria for this one was you must have a good credit score. I mean, when you say good, it depends on how much credit score the banks give you, but the minimum requirement for this one is 570. And to be qualified, the fourth criteria for this one, you have to be in operation. Your business has to be existing before 2019, January 2020. Once you get approval for the loan, you can use it for any payroll, rent, any other operations of your business. However, as the legislators have pointed out, once you get this loan, you cannot expand or create a new business. So ultimately, this loan is given to you to just keep you in business. You know, like I said earlier, small businesses they are like believed to be the driving factors of the US economy, right? So they don't want you to be getting away of this market and then stay in the business. If you are approved to get more than 25,000, then definitely there is another criteria that you have to comply, which is in the UCC lane. Once you have done that, then definitely they will have to ask you for any collateral. Was required to submit any collateral getting a loan of 25,000? Because most of my applications that I have done, none of them were asking for a collateral. Anybody who has experience with this before? No, which is good, because if they ask you for a collateral, then the loan process will be delayed, and eventually it can get, eventually not approved. The processing of the loan is very straightforward. You apply it directly to the SBA, and the only two forms that they require you to submit is the 45060, which is an authorization for the SBA to get your tax returns from the IRS. And based on that, they will confirm that you are in business and you are in operation before 2020, and you have a legitimate independent contracting or self-employed business as well. Once you submit these forms, then definitely you will have to sign a contract. That contract, most people don't read it or don't keep it properly. I strongly suggest any individual to go through it's a very lengthy contract, but it's worth it reading it so that you know what are your obligations going forward. And once you are approved with this one, it's strongly recommended that you keep your tax returns and financial returns for at least 3 years. Because we can get audited at any time. If you cannot substantiate or if you cannot provide the proof, then definitely you will be in breach of the contract. So it's very mandatory and important for you to see and keep the financial returns that you have in the previous years. So during the long period that you have this year. Additional points to consider here. The legislators have been changing the rules consistently from every month or month. Every time there is a public outcry or there is a change in the public comment, they try to amend it. So one of the amendments was, even though you get the loan now, they are not requiring you to start making payments right away. So you have a 24 months deferral. However, with this point, even though the deferral is for 2 years, even though you are required to start making payments after 2 years, the interest still accrues. So here people have to be careful, because if the interest is still accruing, I wouldn't suggest for anyone to stay and wait for the deferral to take advantage. Another beauty of this loan is it's directly taken from the SBA, so there is the red tape or the bureaucracy is very limited, and they can approve you in a faster way, because the direct application for the SBA is much slower process than the other banks. Another point here is, if you have a business and you took the loan, and if you want to sell the business, definitely you can sell it. However, you have to transfer the loan to the purchaser. So here is the point now. Most people, after they receive the money, they got to speed their business, and they no longer need the loan. So in that case, if you are lucky enough now this time, because the business are opening up and you don't need this loan, even though it's a 3.75 low interest, my suggestion would be to just return the loan so that you avoid paying interest. And in order to do that, you can make payments by phone, by mail, or online. And it's not just only if you have to pay off all the loan, but also to make the payments that will be starting in 24 months after you get the loan. If you are doing online payments, there is an easy way the government has provided, and the link is called pay.gov, and it's a very easy process. And if you need help, Catherine is here, and Dia is also here with me. You can contact them, you can schedule a call, we can support you with this loan payments. One interesting point that everybody asks about taking a loan is, what is my impact on my credit score? Because a lot of people have been disqualified because of their low credit scores, right? So the most interesting thing here is, if you get the loan directly from the SBA, then and it's below 25,000, there should not be any impact on your credit scores. Meaning, this SBA will not report this loan to the credit reports. So there will not be any impact for you on your credit scores once you get the loan. However, if the loan is over 25,000, because they have to file a UCC lien, then definitely this will have an impact on your credit score. So to avoid any damage on your credit scores, you have to be consistent with your loan payments. Once the monthly payments kicks in, it's very imperative that you always keep making payments on time. If not, there will be an impact on your credit scores. The other program is the grant that the SBA has been providing. This grant, it's a very interesting grant, because these grants are not required to be repaid. These are non-repayable grants. However, the criteria for this is a little bit tighter than the other loan criteria. If it's a grant, of course, there will be a stronger criteria to get the approval. So this grant was only entitled to the people who are living in the low-income community, and they must have suffered economic loss of 30%, and they must have less than 300 employees. So this is the criteria that qualifies you for the grant. So most people, they think like, because they are living in an area that is normally described as not low income, they haven't applied and they miss out. Because here, if we see as an example, the criteria that they were determining which zip code or which address is low income is the census data provided by the US Census Bureau in December 2020. So this is the criteria that should determine whether you are low income or not. You just cannot assume my area is a low income. For example, this is the address of our location, Hilton address. Nobody would assume this is a low income area, right? However, as you can see here, based on the map, this is laying on the purple area, which is a low income criteria. So if you are living in this address, you qualify for the grant. But a lot of people have been missing out by just assuming they don't live in a low income area and they didn't apply and then they lost. So if you know anybody who is entitled with the previous criteria that I have laid out, I highly encourage you to contact us, Catherine or Dia, and we can help them with the application. Would anybody suggest that this Silver Spring downtown area would be a low income area? No, but here it is. If you are living here, then you qualify for the grant. So it's always good to contact accountants like our office and find out what is the necessary criteria to make the application.
Awesome.
Go ahead.
So, for the targeted grant, if you're working in a virtual business area, but you're doing business in these areas, is there an exception for businesses that are doing business in these communities, these low-income communities, or do they have to be physically located?
Okay. Yeah, it's a good question. And what determines is how did you file your tax return in 2019? So you must have specified an address in your tax return, definitely. So that is the address what the SBA will be assuming your business location for this criteria. Now, did I answer the question?
I did.
Yes. Thank you. Another criteria that they haven't displayed at the beginning, but eventually while we are working with the SBA applications, they were not approving for residents who doesn't have green cards, or if they are not US citizens, they were not approving these grants, and they have declined and rejected a lot of people due to this reason. Another thing is, in order to qualify, if you haven't filed your tax return, your point here, then you must have filed electronically to get it faster to the IRS for 2008 tax return, and based on that, the criteria will be determined. So another two criteria on top of the first three are: you must be a resident, or you must be a US citizen or a green card holder, and at the same time, you must have filed your tax return for 2019. And the applications, they started in February 1, 2021, and this was the first priority that they're giving to many people. Later on, they just amended the regulation, and they started applications until December 27, 2020. And later on, after December 27, 2020 applications, that's how the priority, where they were dispersing the funds, depending on the funds existing they have. Here, unlike the aided loan, the aided grant, it's still required to be used for business. It's not a stimulus check. They are not giving you to use it for personal purposes. Remember, these were dispersed to keep the small businesses in the market. So once you are dispersing the money, you have to use it for your business, not just for your personal. So even though there is no strict criteria at this moment, but since you might be audited at any time, I highly encourage everyone to use the money for the business. Another legislation that they have passed later on is, if you have another loan, which we will be talking shortly, if you have another loan, which is called the PPP, and then you are forgiven, these grants were supposed to be minimized. However, later on, the subsequent legislation eliminated this, and even though you get forgiveness from the loan, you don't have to be disqualified from the grant application. And this is the most important thing that I see later on in the year 2020. Once they found out they have a lot of existing funds, they couldn't disperse to many users because they were not applying. A lot of people didn't apply. Like I said earlier, the application is still good until December this year. So because people are not applying, the funds were still with the SBA. And the SBA didn't want to return the money to Congress to use it for other purposes. So they started dispersing additional funds to the existing applicants. And the way they did it was this way. So for those who have lost more than 50% of their income in 2020, they started giving them additional $5,000. So if you qualify for the grant, then you will be qualifying for $15,000. And if you comply with the three criteria. Another second criteria for this additional $5,000 is you must have at least 10 employees, not 300 employees, like the other grants. So if you are an independent contractor, a self-employed like Uber driver, any other business that you do at home, then you will be a self-employed, which is one employee, and you qualify for this grant. And for those who haven't applied for this 5K at the beginning, the SBA started sending them invitations. However, just like anyone, people have been missing out, to look at their emails and the list of this thousands of dollars. So again, if you know anyone with this criteria, just let them reach out to us, and we can help them out in the coming months. So, like I said earlier, the deadline is 31 December 2021. However, still they have the funds. Still they are waiting for you to apply. And now, Congress found out that the money has not been utilized at all. So for that reason, the recent Biden's infrastructure bill, the Build Back Better bill, they found out there are a lot of funds that have not been dispersed, people are not applying, or they don't qualify with the criteria. Then now, from the recent subscription email I have received, they are taking $17 billion from this program because it's not being used, then they are using it to other purposes. Again, we have another month. It's worth it to give a shot to these applications. The common reasons for rejection for the people who have been applied, as you can see here, unverifiable information. If you haven't filed their taxes, the SBA will not be able to verify your business and will reject you. Low credit scores, address change. If somebody changes an address and then that address is not in the low income criteria based on the map I showed you earlier, you will be rejected. Immigration status, if you are not a green card holder or a citizen. And ineligible businesses. I mean, ineligible business means like someone who hasn't complied with other government obligations. It's not, this doesn't reject to a specific type of industry. The third program was the PPP loan, which is a popular loan that people have been, I think, did you take the PPP loan?
No,
Have you applied? Who has applied for the PPP loan? So can you tell us your experiences about the PPP loan applications?
I applied through
Wobbly.
Yes, and it wasn't that hard.
Yeah.
They asked only Schedule C and real adjust the GI, and adjust the gross income, and then divide it by 12, and it was not hard.
Yeah. So the reason I ask you is like this PPP loan is a little bit different from the others because for this loan you have to get a lender. You cannot get this loan directly from the SBA. So getting it from a lender means you have to be selective which lenders can approve you faster. Just like we always say, the One Plate was a very resourceful lender for so many of our clients. This loan is 5-year term and 1% interest. However, later legislations have changed it, and they want everyone to apply for forgiveness. And if they comply with the application of the forgiveness, you don't have to repay back this month. So a lot of people have been getting up to $20,000 for this loan if they have a proper documentation with the tax obligations that they had before. Then you can use it for payroll purpose. By the way, PPP loan is, the term PPP is Payroll Protection Program, meaning this loan is given to you to keep your employees in business or pay yourself if you are self-contractor. With that PPP applications later on have been forgiven with a very easy, straightforward forgiveness portal by the SBA. This loan was directly forgiven up to 100% if you have utilized the money in your business for your employees or for 40% of your business expenses. So here I would like to remind everyone, if somebody has already the PPP loan and haven't yet applied for forgiveness, you still have to do the forgiveness application. If you don't do the forgiveness application, you will not be forgiven, which means you will still be owing to the SBA to return back the money. Again here, always as an accountant, what I remind my clients is documentation is very important. And even the loan forgiveness is a very straight application portal that they have created recently. And you don't have to provide any documentation. You just apply a 5-minute application. But the point here is you are still required to keep documentation of where you have used the money. So it's still highly recommended for applicants to keep their bank statements, payroll expenses, receipts, invoices, anything related to your business that you have applied. So the programs that I have discussed so far are disaster-related loans. These were programs that were enacted by Congress to help with the coronavirus pandemic. However, the ASBA is a small business administration agency. It's like one ministry of the United States cabinet, and they always have loan programs for applicants. So even though the fact that these loan applications will be ending in December 31, there are other programs that small business owners can utilize. The first one is microloans. This is designed for self-employed startup businesses. For this loan, you need an intermediary lender. You don't directly get these loans from the SBA, but you are still entitled to apply. And the interest is a little bit higher than the COVID-related interest rates. This interest is from 18 up to 30%. Again, it depends on the lender that you find to give you these loans. Has anyone heard about these other non-disaster related loan programs from the SBA? No, I think it's a very important point here, and it's worth it to give it a shot before you go to any other commercial lenders like the Wells Fargo, the Bank of America, and the other private banks. They definitely will not give you this rate. Even though this is higher than the COVID-19 rate, it's still worth it to consider these types of loans. The second loan that the SBA has is the 7A loans, and these are a bigger amount loans. They can lend you up to $2 million, depending on your business and the type of application that you are doing. Again, this depends on the intermediary lender that you will find to give this loan. And the interest rate is a little lower because it's a lot of money here. It's up to 3%. These types of loans, these are the best option described to be used by real estate agents. Where is Ruta? Ruta is here. So, how would you see from your real estate experience? How would you see if somebody gets approved with this kind of low interest rates? Can you tell us something from your experience? What out there is the interest rates?
That would be very beneficial because the interest rate right now, even though it's low to buy a house, that will help you in the near future to have that percent of interest rate.
Yeah, I agree. So what is the current interest rate?
It could be between the 2.9 to 3. It depends if you're refinancing or a new buyer.
But that's for someone with a strong credit history, things like that, right?
Of course, yes.
Yeah. So it's still worth considering this type of 7A loans as well. The first one is for bigger investments. If somebody is engaged in import-export or some other bigger investments, then these kind of loan programs are still worth it. But the criteria for this one would be you must have a net worth of less than 15 million of net worth, and your average net income for the year would be less than 5,000. This is more for bigger companies to utilize the loans instead of going to the private lenders. The interest rate again here it's up to 3%. Again, it depends on the lender that you find to lend. So I like this quote by the Nike founder, Phil Knight. I always quote this, and the reason I brought this up is it's always good to take advantage of everything, but you have to do it legally. So you can apply for the aid loan, you can apply for the grants, you can apply for the PPP. You have to be ferocious. Always be like aggressive to get everything. However, play by the rules. Meaning you have to comply with the requirements, with the documentation that they ask you. If not, then eventually it can backfire to you and have a bigger loss for your business. Phil Knight said, play by the rules, but be ferocious, and I agree with it. So take advantage of the programs, but always be compliant with the government obligations. Other available grants that are not provided by the government, but other companies, like for example, the Hello Alice company, they are providing 5K grants. FedEx, they are providing 10K up to 50K, I think there is a typo here, I'm sorry, up to 50K grants. Their criteria depends, they are trying to engage with their communities. It's still worth it to go and try these applications. If you need help with these applications, we are here to help you. You can contact Bia and Catherine, and we can schedule a call or an appointment to help you out with these applications. LegalZoom and the NBA have also, the NBA and the Women NBA, both of them have a partnership to support small businesses, and they are giving up to 10K grants. Famous Amos, 50K. Shibos up 10K up to 50K. Again, I have another typo here, I'm sorry. And there are also additional grants, like for example, the Nourish DC, which I have done for one of my clients. This is specific to one area. So they are giving it to the DC residents or DC businesses, but for a specific words, which is I think for this one, word 5. So there are a lot of other grants available, and it's very cumbersome. It needs an accountant's help to get the application smooth, but again, it's still worth it to try these grants because the money is there for you, for small business owners and independent contractors. And another tip I would like to give you here is the SBA has something called scores. These scores are they are partners with the SBA, and they provide mentorship across the states. For example, in this area, in the Silver Spring Library, there are scores that can help you to start up a business, or to get a loan, to get approval, or to get a matching lender that can easily approve you. So it's always good to try these scores to help you get these loan applications. And recently, the new by the appointee SBA administrator, she has launched a new program called Community Navigators, and these are part of the American Rescue Plan Initiative, and they are trying to remove the barriers because big companies are the most beneficiaries of these loan applications because they have their own accountants, they have their own lawyers. It's very easy for them to get approved. But individuals or small business owners who doesn't have this capacity, they have been like missing out these loan applications. So in order to support them, the new appointee of the SBA, she has launched this Community Navigator program, and she has a fund of 100 million for this to be used as hubs in each community across the states. So again, find out the Community Navigator in your area and get the support that's out there for you. This is the new better appointee, and she has been doing an amazing job to continue the previous appointee, Trump's appointee, Small Business Administration, and both of them are trying to reinforce the small businesses to get out of this pandemic impact. That being said, the whole process of this application, like the programs that they have launched, everything hasn't been without flaws. As you can see here, the Office of the Inspector General, because the SBA, they also get audited. Everybody gets audited. That's why you have to be documented always. So they found out this much small business owners, and this amount of money have been dispersed by mistake to the public. We don't know what actually they will take now. One of the common mistakes for this one was they have dispersed for individuals who are contractors, but if the applicant says that he has an employee, if he's not a company, he's a contractor, then they were just giving them the money. Because at the beginning, they were trying to disperse without so many limitations, and a lot of people have received this money, and now it was found out that there was a flaw in the computer system. That was typically a coding error in the program. Later on they fixed it, but there was a problem, and this amount of money has been distributed to the wrong applicants. And always, like I said earlier, even once you apply and if you have been rejected by the loan officer that was assigned to you, don't give up. I myself have resolved so many cases for so many applicants, and all you need is just to be documented and proof that you have to submit to these loan officers. With that, even if they reject you after the reconsideration process without help, with the other accountants' help, then there is also another online complaint submission system. So it's a very rigorous process. It just needs patience and your time to take an opportunity of this application. Before I wrap up my topic on this small business administration loans and grants, one thing I would suggest you, once you get the loan, if you get the loan, like especially bigger amount of $100,000, and they are trying to start up a business, it's always worthy and highly recommended to consult accountants like our offices or other accountants, financial advisors, tax consultants, because once you make this investment decision, doing it in a professional right way helps you in the long run. Meaning, for example, if you come to us and ask us how we want to invest $100,000 or $1 million, there is a financial management tool that we use to determine if this business is going to be paying you off or not. With that, there is a model called MPP. I'm not trying to talk about the model now, this is beyond the scope of this event. What I'm trying to tell you is, once you go to a financial consultant, tax accountant, or any other person to advise you, there are financial tools that help us determine if your investment will be worthy. With that, we can determine with the tools whether you have to make any changes or amendments in your investment decision. Another financial management factor that I want to mention to you is, always when you make an investment, especially by taking a loan, you definitely have to be able to have a return more than the loan interest that you are getting. With that, you have to consider the risk of your investments. So there are four types of risk strategies. One is to avoid the risk at all if it's not worth it, or accept the risk if it's worthy taking it, or sharing the risk or transfer it by having like insurance companies, or maybe reduce the risk if it's too much by having a partners in your investment decisions. So it's always worth it to consult with an accountant or a financial advisor to give you this information. One final point I want to stress out here: once you have an investment decision, be strategic to get the right business structure for your business. Do you need an LLC? Do you need an S corp? Consult with your accountant. For example, if you are creating an LLC, you will be required to pay 4 types of taxes: Social Security, Medicare, federal and state tax. If you are an S corp, you can waive the Social Security and Medicare, but this is highly recommended for a business that's generating, I would say, closer to $100,000. Because the saving in tax that you will make has to pay off the cost for you to pay an accountant to do your compliances for the S-corp structures. With that, these S-corp structures, they will help you distribute the rest of your income as a dividend, and if it's a dividend distribution, then definitely it pays lower taxes. But if it's like an income tax distribution, it's going to be higher taxes by including the Social Security and Medicare tax. So we strongly recommend, if someone is expected to generate higher income in the year of the business, then it's highly recommended to use the S-corp tax bracket, tax status, or the LLC, which is a skilled LLC reporting that like most individuals or independent contractors have been using. With that, I will stop here for our next speaker, which is Randy, to give us his insights. He is an accountant, he has been in business for 7 years. He's going to give us his insights, how compliance is important in these businesses. And after that, I will proceed to my next presentation. If you have any questions, I will wrap up everything in the second session. But now, please welcome Randy for the next speech.
Good evening. I'm going to talk give you a little bit of a different spin what Hook said. I've been in this country for 60 years, so I'm old, so I kind of know the rules. Everything he said about compliance is 100% true. We're here today, I'm going to talk about staying updated. So we're here today staying updated about the rules. The rules are always changing. Always. We're in a very politicalized system, so you have to stay in touch with the rules. Build back better. There are some important rules in there, but we can't really talk about it because everything is up in limbo. Right or wrong, I don't want to be political. The next big thing, tax-wise, is the Trump tax laws, because they end at 12/31/25. So that's 3 years, but just keep in mind, those weren't permanent tax law changes. So when Nook has his presentation in 25, he's going to have a lot to go over because a lot of laws are going to be changing. A lot of laws that aid small businesses are going to be changing. And that's going to really represent, could be a big liability. The other thing I want to talk about staying updated is you have to use Hanook as your business professional. Just like you see a doctor, so you see a dentist. I have a very open door policy with my business. So I had a relatively new client, and he did a flip during this whole pandemic thing. So I get this email, hey Randy, made 125 grand on the flip. So I'm thinking, well, the guy's pretty sharp, but he's not that sharp. So I started asking him some other questions. He still made about $52,000 in the flip, because then I was able to fine-tune the information. So he wants to know, well, what's going to happen tax-wise? And I said, probably not a lot of good things, because this is short-term capital gain. So what did I do? I did his taxes last year. So I just ran him a pro forma for what he'll probably owe for next year. So I told him, told him $24,000 federal, and about $8,500 in state amount. Now, is that good news or bad news? I think it's great news, because right here and now, he knows where he stands. And that's huge. I've sat in business meetings, and for whatever reason, maybe I dropped the ball, maybe the client dropped the ball. It's very uncomfortable to say, hey, client, you got to come up with 35 G's for federal taxes. That's not a pleasant conversation. That's not a good thing. So again, please use Hanook and his staff. To me, taxes should be not this big hurrah. If you're a small business, you should know pretty close where you stand by 12/31. Hanook can run some projections. He can, I think it's important. I do this stuff for myself. I know I'm kind of a geek, but, so I know where I'm going to stand. And I feel good. I hate surprises. I hate Christmas. I hate Easter. It's really important. I want to talk about a little bit of this SBA stuff. Hanook gave a tremendous presentation. So we have all this COVID stuff. the government's panicked about the economy. They're pumping out money left and right. Two of my clients, actually my biggest client, got a PPP loan for $335,000. He needed that like a hole in the head. He didn't need it. He was incredibly profitable. My point is, he played the game by its rules, got that PPP loan completely forgiven. That's absurd. So when Hanuk says there's monies available whether you need them or not, go for it. It's there. Now there's one caveat. Go for it. But you have to be very disciplined with the capital. You got to put it in a separate account. It's not candy store money. So go for the money. Get the money. Enough to get you the money. But you got to be very, very, very disciplined with the money.
Play by the rules.
Yes, play by the rules. But get the money. Even though you may not need the money, get it. Because if the SBA does not spend the money, it goes back to the Congress. I look around, and this is the community that it is designed to help. Go for it. You're not doing anything illegal. It's not shameful. Get the money. Because during PPP, believe me, the fraud was off the charts. You know. So, and the lead speaker brought up a very good point. So we're talking about programs from the federal government. I'm sure PG County has a lot of programs going on. I'm sure DC. Talk to the local organizations. They want to help as well. Again, what Hanuk said was small businesses are the backbone of the American economy. They want small businesses, tiny businesses, to survive and do well. Go for it. Get the money. But, again, I'm going to say it again, you have to be very, very disciplined with the money. Oh, I got this $25,000 EDL loan. I guess I really need that Mercedes. Wrong. Or, you know, I need to go to Dubai for a week. Nah. It's for businesses. And that's where a lot of people in this country mess up. They get all this money from government and they just blow it on stupid things. Use it for the intent. One other thing I would just say about the SBA, compliance is crucial. Hanuk and his staff can come up with financial statements for you, income statements, balance sheets. That's all part of the loan process. On an individual basis, pull your own credit. If there's any nagging thing, you didn't pay a doctor 3 years ago, get it settled. I'm serious. I'm dead serious. And get that credit score as high as you can. If you receive a loan of substantial amount, say $25,000, $50,000, open a separate checking account for that money. Put that money in there. So if you are audited, those monies aren't commingled with your other monies, personal or business. Because then you say, hey, then the SBA auditor, what about this loan? Oh, let me call him up. He runs the general ledger for that account. There it is. Right? It is a slam dunk. But if you start commingling your personal money and the grant money, then things start getting a little blurry. You don't want that. What's the problem with government employees, federal government employees? They're wonderful people, but a government employee is given untold power. So you want to be bulletproof. You want to be bulletproof. So if you get a big SBA loan, separate account, pay the bills that are required or that are legally compliant, then if you get audited, it's a slam dunk. This isn't necessarily tax, this is more about the American system. The American system works if you're conservative and prudent. For all the Schedule C's out there, the private contractors, the gig workers, at tax time and when you pay your estimated taxes, paying Social Security income tax is a real drag, because that's 15.5%. I have clients where their Social Security tax is almost as much as their federal income tax. And they're like, Randy, do we have to pay it? Yeah, you gotta pay it. You can't opt out of Social Security. But what's the upside? I had a client, this lady was a 7-Eleven franchise operator for 20 years. She cursed at me left and right about all the Social Security tax she has to pay. But she's 67 years old now. She's getting $3,100 a month tax-free from Social Security. So my point is, there is a payoff. You may not like it in the short term. It's 15% is heavy when you're net profit, but there is a payout. They're not going to eliminate Social Security. It's just part of the deal. For those that have W-2s, your employer pays half of your Social Security, which is good. But with those folks, try to contribute a little bit more to your 401k or savings plan. Because again, that's long-term money. Back to the small businesses, contractors, gig workers, you should really try to do an IRA. Because again, Social Security probably is not going to be enough. So if you put 20 years of IRA money together, let it grow moderately, you got Social Security and you have your IRA money. Again, use Canuck's expertise on that. So Canuck, again, should be treated like a professional. He doesn't care about the hot Ethiopian restaurant in Tyson's Corner. He could care less. But if you got a life change, like if you're getting married, if you're in business, I'll pick on a lead speaker. She's working for all these places. You might be getting 4 or 5 1099s. You got to consolidate that. You got to get your records in order, so there's no surprises. And again, I'm a very big proponent of tax planning. I'm maybe a little bit too hands-on with a lot of people I deal with, but there's no surprises at tax time, and that makes me happy, and it makes them happy. So please, Canuck's a resource. Use them. You know, if you have a professional reason, professional change in your life, give them a holler. Give them an email. Give them a text. He's all over the place. So use them. And with this SBA, EIDL loan, all this stuff, get the money. Get the money. Because if you don't, somebody else who doesn't maybe need it will get it. And the problem with the SBA, as alluded to, they don't sell themselves. You know, you walk into a Bank of America branch, they're pounding their chest. Oh yeah, we're here for small business. No, they're not here for small business. They're here to financially harm you. Because if you're one day late on that loan, you're going to hear about it. So, you know, let them guide you through this SBA Byzantine maze, because it is a Byzantine maze. And get the money. Thank you, man.
Thank you, Randy. Randy was my colleague at some point. We used to work for one corporate company together as an accountants. And we had a very interesting time to share as an accountants. And Randy, thank you so much for coming today. All right, now I don't want to keep everyone boring. So we have a stand-up comedian here. Before I go to the next topic, I will invite Jason to come in here.
I promise you're not going to learn any accounting from me. I would make a terrible accountant. I was the kid in school who was terrible at math. Like, they would ask me, what's 3 times 7? And I'd say, I'd like to phone a friend. I'm older now. I know 3 times 7 is, I want to say 37. I don't know. Close, right? A little bit about myself. I recently turned 40. It's got me asking the tough questions like, does 2014 still count as recently? I don't know, I feel like it does. No, I'm 47. I tell people I'm middle-aged. That seems kind of optimistic, but I'm going with middle age. It's weird being middle-aged. You get excited about the weirdest things. For my last birthday, I got a toothbrush. I was very happy about that. My toothbrush was Sonic. And that's a big deal in toothbrushes. I'm not sure why. I have no idea what that means. Like, I know what the word Sonic means. I don't know why my toothbrush needs to be Sonic. That's the part that confused me. Like, at first I thought, oh, this will be better at cleaning my teeth when I eat at Sonic. It turns out that's not it at all. No, it uses sound waves to clean your teeth. And that seems like a scam to me. Because we don't clean anything else with sound waves, right? There's no Sonic shampoo, but I'm supposed to use Luke Skywalker's toothbrush? I don't think so. Look, all I'm saying is I would not eat at a restaurant where they said the chef did not wash his hands, but he made noise at them. That's no good. My toothbrush also has 3 speeds. And again, I'm not sure why. As best I can figure out, it's for regular brushing and then highway and off-road brushing. I don't know. All I know is I don't need yet another thing I have to lie to my dentist about. Right? I'm in there now like, oh yeah, I floss every night and I always obey the toothbrush speed limit. Yeah. I did go to the dentist recently. That was weird because they still clean your teeth with a sharp metal stick like it's 1873. It's the 21st century. I should be getting better dental care than Billy the Kid. And yet she sits me in that chair and she's like, open up, and she pulls out a pointy metal stick. And then I see in her other hand she pulls out a rock and she starts doing one of these things. We got a whetstone involved in my dental care. That was not okay. Not okay. And then she told me I had a cavity. And I don't mean to be a conspiracy theorist, but I think that's a scam. Because my dentist talks about cavities. When she talks about cavities, she sounds like my cousin who falls for every pyramid scheme out there. She's like, you need to brush your teeth. And tell your friends to brush their teeth, and they tell their friends to brush their teeth. But here's why I think cavities are a scam, is because she told me I had a cavity, and then she said, we need to get this filled. We'll make you an appointment for 6 weeks from now. And no medical issue should get scheduled like a trip to visit my grandparents, right? Like if I went to the doctor and he said, you have diabetes, he would not follow that up with, you need to start taking insulin in a month and a half. It's not how medicine works. What else? Another thing about getting older, some of you are young, I will warn you, when you get to be middle-aged, you will start to get injured for no reason whatsoever. Like that is a thing that will happen to you. If you don't believe me, find someone who's middle-aged, ask them to tell you the story about the last time they threw their back out. Right? They're going to have a story. And that story is going to end right when you think it's getting started. Because you'll go, oh my gosh, you threw your back out. How did that happen? And they'll go, well, I came home from work and I took my coat off. And I was in bed for 3 days. That's the entire story of throwing your back out when you're middle-aged. Like women my age, they go to the club, they're singing, my neck, my back, I need to go lie down. I'm kidding. The only club women my age go to is Sam's Club. That's not. Even worse are the real injuries, like the ones with an actual cause. Like, okay, I sprained my ankle this year playing football. I was checking my fantasy lineup on my phone and I tripped over the sidewalk. That still counts as a football injury. It still counts. And as I was going down, like the one thing I kept thinking is like, oh my God, is this the injury? Is this the one that's gonna let me tell the weather? Like, I don't need a trick ankle that's gonna tell me when it rains. I have an app for that. It's fine. It's not necessary. Oh man, I worry about these things. I get upset about the dumbest things too. Like I saw this commercial on TV for Domino's, and they have pizza insurance. And at first I was real excited because I thought, cool, this is going to pay for my bypass when I eat too much pizza. It's not how it works. What it is if they mess up your order, they will replace it. That's pizza insurance. That's how ordering takeout works. If they mess up your order, they're supposed to replace it. That's the whole point of the whole takeout system, which means someone at Domino's looked at pizza and said, how can we make this more popular? I know, we'll associate it with insurance. That's what people love, is insurance. And pizza upsets me just in general. And the reason is, whenever I'm with a group of friends, and we want to get food, someone will go, let's get pizza, and the same thing always happens. First, it turns into like an SAT question, where they're like, okay, there's 5 of us, and everyone's going to eat 3 slices, and the delivery driver is going west at 30 miles an hour. How many pizzas do we need? And the same thing happens every time. Someone will say, let's get 2 pizzas, and then all my friends look at me because I'm the fat one, and they want me to say, no, let's get 3 pizzas. But you know what? I'm not going to do it. I'm fat. I'll just go home and order my own pizza. I don't care. I'll do it. And then, like, once you decide on 2 pizzas, that's when the real fun begins, is deciding what to get on the pizzas. And I don't know if your friend groups are like mine, but we always end up with the weirdest order where we're calling it into the pizza place and we're like, I need one with half pepperoni and half olives, and the olives have to overlap the pepperoni on 3 of the slices, and there needs to be 1 slice with green onions and 1 slice with green peppers, but they can't touch each other. And then the other one is plain cheese, because there's always got to be the plain cheese pizza. But here's the thing, you can't even get a plain cheese pizza anymore. Have you guys seen this cheese arms race that's going on? These places have like 4 cheese pizza, 5 cheese pizza. I saw a place that had a 6 cheese pizza. And it was mozzarella, provolone, Asiago, cheddar, Reggiano, and fresh mozzarella. And if you were paying attention, I said mozzarella twice. And only one of them was fresh. So I don't want to know what was going on at that Papa John's. I don't know. Here's the thing, I don't feel like I'm that old. Like, all right, I am not at the age where I'm walking around with a pocket full of Werther's Originals. Like, I'm not that old. Side note, by the way, if anyone from Werther's is here, you don't need to specify originals. There is nobody trying to counterfeit your candy. You're not Godiva, get over yourself. But I did come to a realization the other day that I am getting older. And it happened when I went to a bar. And they had a bouncer outside. So I went to show the bouncer my ID. That bouncer did not take my ID. Instead, he just looked at me and said, nah, you're cool, Pops. He called me Pops. Oh, I was ready to fight him right there. But here's the thing. When I went to get my ID out of my wallet, I threw my back out. Hey, I want to thank you guys. I want to thank Hanok for the opportunity to tell you some jokes. Hopefully it was a good break from the accounting tips. I'm going to turn it back over to Hanok, and I'm sure we're going to learn a lot more.
Thank you, Jason. All right. I'll just quickly see the main change, like the tax law change that has been recently implemented in the new tax that we are expecting to be implemented in the coming tax season. And I will start with the most interesting one. Before I go to the topic, this is the conference that I attended last Friday. I went to Dallas. It was a tax conference that was provided by my tax software, and it was a very good conference. And what I have learned is that I will be summarizing it and sharing it with you in a brief way. So the first one is the child tax credit. As you can see here, last year the child tax credit was $2,000 per qualifying child. This year it has been increased to $3,000 for those who are over the age of 7, and $3,600 for those who are below the age of 6. However, as I have already noticed, I will circle back to this in the next slide, but most parents have been receiving partial of this amount in the last 6 months, I would say. Another point before I proceed to the next slide is, in order to qualify for this child tax credit, in previous years, you were entitled to get refunds of non-refundable amounts of $1,400 from the $2,000. This year, it's going to be fully refundable. Again, previous year, only dependents under 17 were qualified. This year, dependents under 18 are also qualified. And finally, the phase out was over $200,000 or $400,000 for verifying jointly. But this year, the phase out has been lowered to 75 for single and 150 for verifying jointly status. So with this 3,600 that the parents have been receiving, because they have already been receiving $300 every month or $150 every month for those who are over the age of 60. Now with your tax return, we'll have to make adjustments, meaning you have already received this money in advance. So there is no twice payments within your tax returns. So if you see a lower refund in your tax returns, it's because you have already received it in advance. And everyone who has been receiving these advanced child tax credit payments can anyone tell us in this room who has been receiving these advanced payments? Were you receiving regularly, monthly? No.
Here.
Oh, okay, we have a parent here. I don't think we have only one parent here, but it's okay. Yeah, so those who have received the money, you will be receiving this letter from the IRS 6419 in order to do your tax returns so that we can make adjustments in your refunds. The problem with this is, if somebody comes to me to do tax and didn't inform me this letter is issued to him or he hasn't received it, then eventually your refunds will be stuck. The IRS will not release your refunds for the tax year unless you get these adjustments or reconciliations. So it's highly important to be documented. I'll show you later on how the checklist is provided in our office, but it's important to keep this document to do your tax returns if you want your refunds faster. If not, they will not release your refunds. The second change was the daycare payments. We call them child care or dependent care credits. These credits, previously the limitation was $3,000. Now this year it has been increased to $8,000. And the expense limit for the ones who has 2 children or more, it's going to be up to the maximum of $16,000 for this year. Previous year, it was $8,000. So there's a very huge change in this, and the reason for that, from the conference that I participated last week, was they are trying to encourage parents to go out to work, because most people, they are working from home. They don't be tempted to be employed. So this is an incentive for the public to go to work, meaning they have to send their kids to daycare, like childcare places, meaning, and they allow you to get these deductions. The applicant percentage has also changed. There is a phase out always on any credit, and the phase out for this year it's going to be 125,000 up to 438. Previous years it was 15 up to 43, and the percentage was increased from 35 to 50%. So if you have been paying child care payments, then you can expect more refunds in this year, because you will be able to get these deductions. The third change that I would like to bring to your attention here is the unemployment compensation payments that was being paid to the American residents because of the pandemic. Previous years, eventually, when the new administration came, they exempted up to $10,200 from the total unemployment they have received. This was only for those who have adjusted gross income below $150,000. This year, there is no exemption. Everything that you have received in 2020, it's fully taxed on the federal level. State level, states have different regulations. DC, Maryland, Virginia, for example, in this area, they have different taxing procedures. and we are expecting it for them to publish in the coming months. So most people have seen higher refunds in their 2020 tax returns because they were paying taxes from their unemployment, and eventually it was refunded back to them for this threshold. This year, if there was no taxes being deducted from your unemployment compensation, then you have to expect that you will be owing this year. The first one is the educational credits for the ones who are in school, for their children or for themselves. And every time we do the educational credits, I always try to get the maximum advantage that you can use from the 3 types of credits. The first one is called LLC, Life Learning Credit, AOTC, American Opportunity Tax Credit. And if this taxpayer doesn't qualify in these 2 credits, because there are always phase-outs and restrictions for any credit, then we were able to get a deduction up to $4,000, regardless how much school payments they have done. This year, this deduction will not be available. If you don't qualify for the LLC credit or the AOTC credit, then you lose it. You will not be getting any advantage from your educational payments. I hope everyone will be qualified for the first 2 credits.
What's the qualification?
Sorry?
What's the qualification for?
So AOTC is for those who are for the first degree, and you have to be at least in school for 1 semester in that year. And there is always a phase out for income range. So if your income is, for example, previous year, if it's over $75,000, then it's going to be minimized or like disqualified for the grants. So the criteria is not just 1 point, but these are the major 3 points. The same thing applies for the LLC, but this gives you a low credit than the AOTC, because the AOTC can give you up to $4,000 depending on your income, refundable credit. Not a deduction, but a refundable credit, meaning you get back your money. So for most people who has higher income, we were always using this $4,000 deduction because they don't qualify for the credits, but this year it's not going to be available. Car mileage from the previous year, it was 57.5 cents. This year, it's going to be 56 cents per mile. This means if someone is driving, doing any ride share or any other business with his vehicle, and he's claiming the mileage in his tax return, then per last year's regulation, you would have had $27,000 deductions, but this year, with the current 26 cents change of the regulation, you would have only 20,400 deductions in your income or profit or loss statements or Schedule C if you are self-employed. So there is no significant change here. If you are using the mileage or the expense methods, you have to consult with your accountant which one is beneficial for you, and then we will suggest you accordingly. Let me just put this here. The fifth point that I have here in my slide says recovery rebate credits, which is known as stimulus payments that we have been receiving. And this is the threshold to qualify for this 1,400 that most Americans have received at the beginning of the year. I guess it was in February. So this was the threshold for someone who is filing as a head of household, 112,500, as married, 150,000. This is supposed to be single, another typo here. So supposed to be, it's going to be, the phase out going to be $75,000. So the determinant income is going to be the income that you are going to report this year. However, if you have received this 1,400 based on the previous income that you had, because we haven't filed yet for this year, then you will not have to pay back what you have received. So if you have already received, if your income is going to be 8,000 this year, you wouldn't qualify for the 1,400. However, because they calculated it based on the previous year income, then you wouldn't have been qualified now. So they are not going to ask you to pay it back. So those who have taken it, and they're okay with it. Another point that is going to be expected to be enacted in the coming year, which is going to be effective from January 1st up to from January 1st, 2022, which is a year from now, there is a change in the cash apps transactions. Most commonly known as the Zelle, Venmo cash apps. They will be required now to report to the IRS whatever transaction every individual has over $600. So this is not just this is not a new process. It was an existing process, but with a different phase out. So previously, these companies were reporting to the IRS only if you had a $20,000 transaction. That's the total amount of the movement of transactions that you have shown, and it has to be 200 individual transactions as well. Not just the total amount of 20,000, but 200 transactions. If this was the case, they were required to report to the IRS. Now, any transaction, whether it's one time or in aggregate, they will be reporting anything over 600. If you sell somebody $600 to anyone, they will have to report to the IRS, meaning you will be provided with a form called 1099K, because it's assumed it's going to be your income. You have received an income. Now, once you have received this 1099K, normally this is an IRS form, 1099 form, then you have to report it in your tax returns. If you come to us to do your tax returns, then just like you get your W-2s or other 1099 forms, you will have to bring this tax form as well. And like I said earlier, it's going to be effective from January 1st, 2022. It's not going to apply for this year tax return that we are going to do, but any transaction that you do from January 1st is going to be reported. And when they report it, they will have to report only the ones reported as a net transaction. They should not be including the credits, discounts, rebates, anything that you get in your transaction. Now, the point is, you pay tax only if it applies only to goods and service transactions. This doesn't apply to personal payments, gifts, family members. You go out dinner and split. So these transactions should not be paying tax because it's not an income, right? And the question now is, how will they be able to know? Because these companies, these cash app companies, Zelle, Venmo, Cash App, PayPal, they will report anything to the IRS, and everybody will be issued a 1099K. So how can I tell as a tax preparer? If you come to me, how can I tell which one is for goods and services, meaning which one is an income, and which one is a personal? We will not be able to know at this point, and we are expecting a separate guidance from the IRS on this issue. This is a form how it looks like that you will be receiving for any transactions, but there is one thing that any accountant can tell, or the IRS will be able to figure out. So your deduction is my income, and my income is your deduction. So if somebody is claiming it as a deduction, then somebody has to report this as an income. That's one way of identifying if that transaction was clearly for goods and services or an income. However, as of now, from the conference I have attended, we are expecting a guidance. Nobody should be worried to make any transactions as long as it's legit personal payments. However, it's going to be reported to the IRS as a 1099K from next year. So everything that you see, that we have been discussing here, or that you see in YouTube or any other websites, it's everything laid out clearly in the IRS website. So anybody can go to the IRS website to find out the new publications and the new guidance or the way that we use to get advantage of the credits that are available out there. Everything is laid out, but I think if you're not an accountant, it might not be easy or user-friendly to identify this tax course. However, if you have any questions, you can come to us at any time. You can schedule a call and we can support you with this. But it's always recommended to go to the IRS, have a subscription, and find out to see if there is any tax law changes so that you can use it in your projections for the subsequent years. So that was saying, projection of your tax returns, it's really critical in making the right decision. So, just like my logo says here, your current tax, your future savings. So the way you do your tax smartly now determines your savings for the future, because you will be taking appropriate actions before the tax law applies. With that, you can get advantage of the tax liability that you will be owing to minimize it, or you get more refunds. However, it's really, really complicated, especially the US. I studied in England, like I told in my opening speech. My certification account is in England, but the US accounting system, I find it a little bit complicated if you're not an accountant or a tax professional. But you're not alone. The fact that taxes are complicated, it's not just you. If you're not an accountant or a tax consultant. You know who has a problem with these tax issues? Albert Einstein said once, the hardest thing to understand in the world is income tax. So I get it. Everybody the tax codes can be confusing. However, we are here to help you. And I suggest you consult with your accountant or tax professional and do your taxes smartly. And recently, as you have seen in the news, there is a bill that has been passed in the House. It's expected to be passed, I guess, in the Senate very soon. Like I mentioned earlier, there are a lot of $1 billion that have been unused from the COVID budget. 70 billion has been already taken out from the aid grants to be used for this infrastructure bill, the Build Back Better plan. And another 50 billion was taken from the unemployment fund because either people didn't qualify or some people didn't even apply to get the unemployment. And because the funds were not used, and just like Randy was alluding, if you don't get it, if you don't apply, they're not gonna come and ask you to get it. So anyone who is entitled for any grants, loans, tax credits, if you cannot do it yourself, reach out to your accountant, reach out to your tax consultant, reach out to us. We can help you to get what you deserve. If all the funds, this is my own personal speculation. I want to put this caveat. Everything we have discussed here is just for informational purposes. It's not a professional advice. If I have to give you a professional advice, you have to come to the office, schedule with me. I have to see your history, and I can give you a better assessment, or if it's not advice. But now, since the economy is getting back speed now, we would expect the tax brackets to be increased, because all these funds, if there are not available funds, who is going to pay everything that has been invested in the public? Definitely who? The taxpayer, right? So these plans, they are very good for the economy. They create jobs. When it comes to taxes, I don't know how the Congress and the IRS will be enacting, but we expect to see changes in the coming years. Before I proceed to some points of our business, if you have any questions regarding the COVID-related laws I have discussed in the previous section, or maybe any tax return questions that you may have that can help everyone in the room here. Randy, do you have to say anything else in the new tax law? Or if you have to share with everyone? Hopefully,
Maybe you
hopefully.
did a great job.
Hopefully. All right.
Yeah. I kind of see that the PPP loan is kind of confusing because it says for payroll protection program. A lot of people think if I'm not paying a payroll, I don't deserve this loan. But I guess some people need to understand how it works. It's like he said, if you're paying yourself, you're a payroll. So that kind of a missing part. And most of people, I said that people haven't applied for that loan.
Yeah, I agree. This is, in fact, the common question that we have been getting from clients. There was a lot of confusion in the area regarding this PPP law. And it really depends on what type of company we're talking about. So, as an example, if we take a self-employed person, let's say, for example, a ride-sharing, like Uber, Lyft, anything like that, he is considered as an independent contractor or a self-employed. Which means now the PPP loan is, as even the term says, payroll protection program. So if this person doesn't work, he is not getting paid on his weekly payments that have been receiving from Uber or Lyft. So that's a payroll. But as a self-employed or independent contractor, he is not required to do payroll filings. Payroll filing means every time you do payroll, you have to report it to the IRS, pay Social Security, Medicare, federal and state tax, which I will be circling back to the software that we use for payroll. I'll share it to you in the next slides. But if this company is not required to do payroll, then it's a self-employed. So the self-employed can determine the payroll based on the weekly receipts that he has been getting from his vendor, which is Lyft or Uber. So if they were paying him, for example, every week $1,000, that is payroll. However, let me just get it back to that slide. So here's the thing. You have to spend the payroll funds that you have received within the 8 to 24 week period. So in this range, if you are self-employed, you need to cut a check, just like Randy was saying. Open a bank account, separate, and pay every week in this range. From the date that you applied up to 24 weeks, which is called the covered period, pay every week yourself. That's your payroll. But if this company is required to file payroll taxes, or which we call them withholdings, then they have to do the 940 and 941 filings. So self-employed or independent contractors, they are not required to do 940, 941 forms. But if it's a company that's required to file withholding taxes, which is 940, 941, definitely they have to pay their employees. You have to keep employee compensation levels the same. That's what they are giving you. So if you have 10 employees, pay them the same salary that they have been receiving, and then you will be forgiven. So technically, the government is paying your employees. They want them to be maintained in that business. Another point here is, at least 60% has to be on payroll costs. Only 60%. The rest, 40%, can be used for working capital purpose, meaning rent, utility, things like that, to keep the business running. Did I answer my question, Ruth?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just had a question. In terms of businesses that have a payroll vendor in place, are they looked at as more favorable to receive a loan as opposed to people just applying overseas?
100%. And the reason for that is, if you have a vendor, you would be well documented. So for example, the PPP loan applications run out funds, and there are a lot of people miss out. So if you have vendors like ADP, which I will be talking to shortly, then definitely you can get your filings. First of all, they will be filed on time, and then you will have the records obtained easily. Then you are always going to be in a favorable position. So before we proceed to our raffle thing, I guess I have some points to highlight for DADA Tax service, and I will mention some services that I would think differentiate us from other accountants or make us maybe competitive with others. So if you come to us, we always track your refunds. I have this kind of category in the office to send our clients where their refunds are and keep them informed and make sure they get their refunds on time, or at least get them notified where their refunds are. We track your refunds until you get it into your bank. Another thing, we always provide our clients a checklist so that they don't miss anything, because some customers, once you do their taxes, they find out, oh, I have this form, I have this and things like that. So we provide a checklist that our clients find it very helpful. And this checklist, we always update it, for example, the child tax credit forms that you'll be receiving, and other relevant forms. We send you a checklist to make sure everything is calculated, and we get your refunds right and maximize your refunds or minimize your tax liabilities. Again, here in DADA Tax, we do virtual or in-person tax returns. So we do for 50 states, all the states, West Coast, East Coast, and we have a Zoom account that we can show you the screen and explain to you before you file your taxes. Again, we have electronic signature. That's, most of these are now starting to use it. We have this for over 3 years. We have a DocSign, and you know, especially with the COVID, nobody wants to come to see in person in the office, and we have all these electronic options. And this year, from the conference that I've attended, they have offered us a portal for secure communications, and this portal will be we are hoping to implement it from January for our clients for our secure communications, you know, with all the security issues that we have on the IT team. And accounting-wise, that way for taxes, accounting-wise, we recently had a partnership with ADP. I guess Sam is here with us, Sam are here. Sam is the district manager for ADP, and we have a partnership now to do our clients' taxes, accounting, payroll accounting, and things like especially payroll, to do to use their software. And recently we had a good partnership, and my partnership advantage with them will be a lower price, and also we have a connection platform if the small businesses wants to use 401k plans, things like that. I have a plan to switch my clients from other softwares because I find them very helpful and reliable. Sam, do you have to say anything about our partnership?
Yeah, I mean, we've been working together since July. NOC's been one of my top preferred firms in the small business sector, so I thank you, my commission check thanks you. But yeah, it's been a really professional partnership, and I think more than just the referrals that you send over, NOC helps me keep the pulse on the CPA community. So it's always great. I love helping them out, love helping our clients, and I'm looking forward to years down the line of this partnership.
Yeah, thank you. How about ADP? I mean, just an overview.
Yeah, just in general. So we're the industry leader when it comes to HCM solutions, payroll. So I'm what you call CPA-centric. So I do partner with banks and financial advisors, but the main part of my business is working with CPAs. So I work with a bunch of firms. We work with different revenue share models. And kind of the whole thing is just we provide the solutions, the payroll capability to their clients, and in addition to that, we actually compensate firms for referring their clients to us.
Yeah, and we are a beneficiary of this product, and I found this software. I mean, we have several other softwares. It depends on our clients' choices, but this partnership is also helping us to coordinate and provide a quality service to our clients. Another thing, just like I mentioned in my opening speech, in order to support the public, I have a YouTube channel, which I do sometimes posts in my language to better understand for the public. And also I have a page on Instagram that you may follow. It's DADA Tax Service. And in this page, every time there is a new regulation, we always post additional points that the public we think we know. So you may follow us on DADA Tax Service Instagram page account. And our location is downtown Silver Spring by the Carly's Coffee, which is popular in the Silver Spring downtown area. And here is a website, my email, phone, and my team members, Kathleen and Dia. So yeah, reach out to us, and we are here to help you out to do your taxes and accounting needs very, very nicely. If you don't have any questions, before I go to the raffle stage, I want to say something or invite the sponsors, the partial sponsor of this event, Address Experts. They were very generous to help us and support and sponsor me with this half costs of this event, and I really appreciate them. And I want them to introduce their products. They have very good products, and they have now some promotions. Betty, floor is for you, please.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thanks for coming today. Thanks, Henny, for giving me this opportunity just to talk a little bit about our small business, which is Address Express. I would like to introduce you with actually, most of you knows how Address works and where we are located at. It's owned by Abraham Haile and managed under Daniel Metzentu. And this is me, Betty, the boss, working with them. So we send money to different countries. Maybe if you want to send money back home, East Africa, West Africa, as well as Europe, South Africa, and Saudi Arabia, including United Arab Emirates. I have specials here, which is anybody who attends this and wants to send money back home. I have the business card with the stamp and the signature, so that you can grab it when you walk out on the way. Thanks, Annie.
Thank you. So I guess the specials are for everyone attending here. So they are giving you a 50% discount on your next visit when you are sending money. So I think it's a good opportunity. It's an incentive for you to send the money somewhere else. So get your card, get the coupon, and yeah, take advantage of it for attending this event. So if you don't have any other questions, I don't want to keep you longer than this. Okay.
Sorry, if I refer somebody else like the DADA income tax, do I get any discount for next year?
Yes, I mean, previous year, yes, we had a $20 referral discount for 2020. We are working with my team on how to do it, but we always have referrals every year, and we'll determine and publish it in our next flyer when we kick off the tax season in January. But yes, we had it, and it's still applying for the 2020. Any other questions in general, or any suggestion that you can give us? Remember, it's a small business. We just recently started this location in Silver Spring over 1 year. So any tips, suggestions, comments regarding this event, or in general about our offices, please share us. Okay, if not, then I will proceed to Catherine. She's going to give us the raffle prizes, and I have a nephew and a niece that they are going to award us the winners of this raffle, and the winner of this raffle is going to be taxed for free next year. So I hope it's going to be a personal individual tax, which is cheaper. We may charge you. Or if it's a company again, then definitely we'll have to do it on for free. So please welcome Hiram and Niall here. Hiram, my niece, Niall, my nephew. Come in, Catherine. So one of them will pick the one of them will pick, and the other will be announcing the winner, and the winner will be awarded. Give me 1 second. All right, we'll see what the winner is. So, who's gonna pick?
The winner is Samir Tisse. Three, 4, 1, 0, 7, 9.
I'm 7'5".
3, 4, 1, 0, 7, 9.
Next.
3, 4, 1, 0, 7, 9.
Okay, he's not here. So the winner has to be here. We are here. Okay. Okay. 341079. Oh, you have 2 tickets.
So the winner ticket is one?
No, 1079. Oh, you got
This
that.
one, that's mine.
So which one is your ticket?
I don't know.
Okay.
I agree.
I got it. Yeah. So.
Is that the medallion? The one
Yeah,
is the winner.
yeah, definitely. Yeah, the winner. So we'll give him the coupon. Come in, Samara. I'll invite my father. My father is visiting from Canada for Thanksgiving, but he's joining us, and I'll give him the chance to give him the coupon. Please.
This one. Okay.
So Tamara is going to do his tax for free next year. Make sure you come early in January. So just to kind of inspire these kids, I'll give them an opportunity to say 10 seconds what they want to be and their ambitions.
I want to be a computer scientist and a basketball player.
If you want to be computer science, you have to work hard, right? Yeah, okay. You have to study very hard.
I want to be a doctor. Any kind of doctor.
Just to build their confidence and kind of inspire them. So I will ask one favor from everyone attending here. Please, before you leave, make sure you take a picture with our logo, post it on social media with your own cell phones. We don't take your pictures. If you don't want us to share it, if you text me, that would be great. If not, just share it. That way you can help us market our business. And that's the whole, we support the community by having these events, doing YouTube videos, posting on social media, but at the same time, it's a marketing strategy for us. Please take a picture of the logo and publish. Thank you so much for coming. I really appreciate your presence today. Thank you.
mean, I forgot it sounds so yeah. What time? Udah.